And we're live. What's happening, everybody? Happy Sunday. Yeah, happy Sunday night, everybody. Glad to have you all aboard. Who do we got in the house so far here? People trickling in. What's on though? What's happening? Joker, Dean Stevenson. Dean, you've been around since the very beginning, man. I think you were there when I first live, like 8 years ago. Dickie Farley would say you're another one that's been around for a long time. Bill Dodge Fury. Hey, man. Michael Phillips, what's going on? Let's see. J. Kiley. I mean, that's what you said there. All motor, Chris. All motor. Just pistons, baby. No power adders for me. Boomer, what's happening, Boomer? Shannon, 78 Monte Carlo. Jickies. Hello, Jickies. Mark Sauvé, War Ghost, Mitten Made Muscle, Oscar Gonzalez. Good to see all of you guys here tonight. Flightism guy, Chuck Austin. What's happening, Chuck? Michael Buteau. What's happening? Thunderstruck. Rope. Just a lonesome dog. Oh, that's no dog should be lonesome. I have a new puppy coming. I have yet another puppy. I'm sick. I'm a sick person. We have yet another border collie puppy, a girl coming on Friday, this coming Friday. So we're busy making preparations and getting all of her stuff together because my dogs are the most spoiled things on the planet. So a little Amelia May. We had to stick with the May. That was zero stuck May in there. So it was Amelia May, and she'll be here Friday. Happy snowy Sunday, brother, man. There's no such thing as a happy snowy day. I'm sorry. This doesn't exist. Boy Howie. What's happening? Oh, Boyd Howell. Boyd Howell? Boy, I don't know, Boyd. How you doing, Boyd? Thank you for all the info on Project Top Fuel. I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's not getting any views. Oh, if I had known, I figured it would be a much more popular thing. But yeah, I mean, I got to get rid of this information somehow, right? So what better way to do it? I'm glad you're enjoying it. Well, the wood chip, what's happening? John T, how are you? Xavier 2000. Jim Murray, have I ever put sheep in my bathtub? Not yet, bro. Not yet. But I mean, given the opportunity, yeah, man, I would put a sheep in there. I would put a goat in there. Yeah, I'm all for the mid-sized animals. I would not put a cow or anything like that, or a llama. You know, it'd be ridiculous to put that in your bathtub. But yeah, sheep, goats, no problem. John Cram, yo, Boomer. Tony, do you do dog crates in the house? We have dog crates everywhere. I have 6 dogs and at least 7 or 8 crates. But they don't stay in the crates. I only have one. Molly Jane loves her crate. She just right. But the others just come in and out. You know what I mean? We don't banish them to their crates or anything like that. Shannon, how many dogs do I have now? 6. Well, it'll be 6. We'll have 6 dogs. I'm sorry, guys. I love I keep saying it. Border collies. I mean, I have 2 beagles and a mutt that I love. I absolutely love. Border collies are another dimension. So we've got Winnie Lynn and we have Molly Jane, and now we've got Amelia May coming. And border collies are the best thing I ever did in my life. Forget about freaking drag racing and street racing, all this bullshit. Border collies are where it's at. You scroll. Mo Parquet, what's happening, Mo Parquet? You learned about setting in distributors. I also learned turtle timing and idle, so I fixed my problem. Excellent. Problem is, was a tooth off or 2 or 180 out? Well, if it's 180 out, it won't start at all. But if it's tooth off, it'll run, but it'll run really rough. But the wires were in the wrong order. You got it done. You got it done. Excellent. Excellent. Thunderstruck, the clutch video from the Top Fuel was awesome, and so did the one on Spacers. Thank you. I appreciate that. I haven't done enough tech lately. Um, so I'm kind of making up. I'm trying to make up for it now. I'm doing a lot of like, bit tech fundamentals. The problem is it's hard. See, after all of these years, right? Thousands of freaking videos. It's like you covered things in the past and you don't want to cover them again, especially since a lot of the old videos still get views. Like I have videos that I put out, like tech videos, carburetor videos, ignition videos, stuff like that, put out 6, 7, 8 years ago that still get consistent views. So people who click on those, they don't realize it's a 6-year-old video. So it's hard for me to like come up with new versions. Does that make any sense? You always got to find something new. Can't keep going back to do the same videos over and over again. Yeah, it's Kathy Bananas. Come, Kathy Bananas. Come on. No, come in. Come in. They love you. They want to see you. Where are you going? Oh, oh no. Oh, come in here. Come in here. Say hi. They want look. It's Kathy Bananas. With Cinnamon Banana. Her street name is Cinnamon Bananas. Yes. Was that? All right. You be careful out there. Don't get killed out there. You're leaving me with the dogs. Some of my dogs are at odds with others of my dogs, and so there's a liable to be a melee. So if I get up and run, you'll know why. Mark Salve, you've got 10 of them? Yeah, I may get there. I may get there. Fubar is in the house. What's happening with Fubar? How are you, my brother? And Fubar has always put up a link to my merch. This is not my merch. This is Kathy bought me a bunch of these Superstock and Drake Illustrated shirts because I wear them with pride because I used to write for Superstock and Drake Illustrated. But this isn't in the store, but our regular UTG merch is in the store, along with our hats and stickers and other things. If you want to represent part of the UTG tribes, put that sticker on there and let people throw shit at your car as you drive down the street. So thank you, Fubar. Thank you. Let me see here. Tony, what's something that really stands out against popular opinion actually killing horsepower? Oh, bro, I don't think I can answer that like off the top of my head. I really have to think about that. The problem, it's not that there's one thing that kills horsepower. It's that people tend to not think things through. So it's monkey see, monkey do. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this fast car that I know from YouTube or a magazine or whatever has this, so I need this, and that probably mix matching and not thinking combinations through kills more power than anything else. Kills more projects, period, than anything else. So yeah, but I can't think of any one specific thing that kills power. Joe Camachi, a connection to an animal cannot be explained to normie. That is very true. That is very true. The love of a dog is like, it's like there's nothing else like it. It's that simple. And when I say that they're the best thing I've ever done, I mean that literally. I've done a lot of stuff, as you guys have probably figured out by now. And out of all the things I've ever done, my dogs are it. And I think actually I needed, I'll tell you what, I needed to get to this stage of life, where it's like I'm getting towards the end now, and it's like, so I think I needed to get to the stage of life and have a little like water under the bridge to calm down enough to appreciate, what they really are. Because when you're young and you're hustling and you got all kinds of hurdles ahead of you and stuff like that, you don't really have the mental state to sit down and look in your dog's eyes and get that, you know what I mean? It's just not there. But as you get older and you mellow out, then it's you get it. You get it. And I get it. All motor, Chris. All motor power adders are for pussies. Yes. SSDO is my favorite mag. Mine too. I remember seeing your name on articles. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Tony Georgie. Tony Giorgi. My name is Giorgio. Hey T, could you please tell a story about what you did to your Mustang and why Ford was upset with you posting those times? Okay, what I did with my Mustang is I applied all of this stuff that we talk about on this channel, all of the free little tweaks and paying attention to little details and stuff like that. And I was going faster than, well, at that time, 1987, I was first year out, right, with these cars, and I was going faster than everybody. But what happened was we got invited to the Ford Long Lead press preview. Okay. I used to go to media events. I don't go to media events anymore. I have no interest in going to any media event. I hate the media. I hate the media, and I hate most of the people involved in the media. But I used to go to media events as part of my job, right? So it was never a job, really. It was, but anyway, got invited to the Ford Long Lead press preview, and all of the magazine guys were there. So we were in a room at maybe 25 guys from all the different magazines, and the engineers take, the tour brings you to different departments, and the engineers show you what they're working on and so on and so forth. And what I noticed was every time I would ask a question, right, because I was really interested in some of the stuff, especially the SVO. I was very, very intrigued by the SVO, not the SVO, the SHO, the Taurus. And every time I would ask questions, I would get, blown off. Like nobody would, they just wouldn't pick on me. So they break for lunch, and I walked up to the guy who was leading the thing, and I says, "Dude, what did I do? I mean, why you ignoring me like that?" He says, "Well, there's been a lot of talk about you here, and most of these guys don't like what you're doing." And I said, "What do you mean they don't like what you're doing?" So I said, "Well, you're making these numbers up, and it's just it makes it look bad." I says, "Bro, I ain't making anything up. I got the time slip, because at that time, by the time this happened, I had gone 1343 at 101 miles an hour with a bone stock car, right? Through the catalytic converters with the three-way gear on the Gatorbacks. I went 1341 at 101 miles an hour, which was like 2 or 3 tenths quicker than the SVO guys were going with their cars, with the short belts and the gears and all of the things that they sell in a freaking catalog, right? So, but they thought that I was making these numbers up. I was not making those numbers up. Every single number we printed in those magazines was a legit number, and I didn't do them at private test sessions. I did them all out in the open, in public, at regular test and tune sessions. So people like Steve Collison, who is Super Stock and Drag Illustrated, recognized that, yes, I was actually running those numbers. And so I had validation in person, but as far as the Ford guys were concerned, they weren't going as fast as I was, so I must have been making it up. Joe Camachi, 1343 was not a bad time in those days stock. Try again, bro. It was at least 3 tenths quicker than anybody else was going at that time. Let's see. I'm rolling up here. Rope, I guess you're talking about dogs. I keep a human, but just for food and to work the door for me. Oh, you are a dog. Oh, okay, Rope. I have we have a friend at the dog club. Her name is Roxanne, and she has this dog. I don't know what kind of dog it is, right? But her dog, she's covered in rope. Like she literally, it's this. Her hair is the same consistency and the same color and the same length as a mop, right? Like that grayish white, right? Literally, the whole dog is a mop like that. So rope. Steve, the 80s horsepower started to make a comeback from the malaise era. Yeah, you have to put everything into perspective now, okay? We were running 13-second ETs in 1987, actually in 1986. 1986 ran 1385 in a Buick T-Type, the Buick Turbo T-Type. I ran 1385 at 99 or something, whatever miles an hour, and that was revolutionary. And that day, actually, and we didn't cover it in the magazine, but that was done at a private test session. And that was done during a shoot for Vet magazine. So the track was rented by, was given to Vet magazine to do this Corvette preview thing. And I was the technical editor for Vet magazine, so I snuck in there with the T-Type to make a couple of runs that day, and because the air was perfect, right? I've been street racing the car, and I ran some regular test sessions. It's all in the magazine, the article I wrote from Buick with Balls, and so they shot all of the Corvettes and stuff like that, and I pulled out and I ran the 1385. I don't even remember the number. And I remember when I pulled back, the Vet guys were just like, they were face planting. Big Buick, Buick Regal that was with a 6-cylinder that was faster than anything they had there. So man, those were great days. But what I'm saying is, you got to put it in perspective. 1986, 1987, to run a 13-second ET with a production car, with something that you could buy at the factory, was unheard of. This was beyond. It was like way beyond. And the truth about earlier muscle cars, like 1960s muscle cars, is that, yeah, you get the numbers that pop up. They ran, 1320, 1340s and stuff like that. But the truth is, those cars very rarely ran in stock form anywhere near that. Most of them were in the higher 13s, the middle 14s, right? Middle 14s, like the typical, you take a typical SS386 Chevelle or a typical, GTX, 440 GTX. The typical car, typical numbers at that time in stock form was like in the 14s. So to take a new car after you went through the whole malaise era and everybody was like all depressed because muscle was dead and the whole 10 yards, and you go out there and you run anything in the bottom 14s or even in the high 13s with a production car, it was mind-blowing. It was revolutionary. So you have to put everything in perspective. Like those numbers mean nothing today. But you go back 40 years ago, because now we're talking about 40 years ago, and this was crazy stuff. This was crazy stuff. We used to get mobbed. When we go places with the Mustang, we would get mobbed because people read about it in the in the magazine, and then other magazines were referencing my car because I was going as fast as I was, and so it was a known car. And you go any place with this thing, and it's like there would be a crowd form around the car. They seem like nothing today, but back then it was very significant. 58 Sports Suburban. Hello from the People's Republic of New Jersey. New Jersey is what Storm and Norman Hectorf used to call it. And the great nor'easter of 2026. I heard you guys again. It was like, Dammy, he wants to, there's no budget to pay the sanitation overtime. So he wants to pay people $19 an hour to shovel the friggin' snow. And the best part about that is he wants 2 forms of ID, two photo IDs to shovel snow, but you don't need any ID to vote. You're gonna love this shit. Oh God. Big snow in New York. Joey Simmons, thank you, sir. 318 rusted or 440 Winnebago, which would you pick? What am I using it for? What's the purpose of the build? As a driver, daily driver type of thing, I'd probably go with the 318. I don't necessarily mix horsepower with daily driving. I'm a right lane driver. You know what I'm saying? I'm a speed limit guy. I'm the last person in the world that's ever going to get a speeding ticket. It's that simple. So I don't really necessarily mix muscle with driving. Okay, muscle is for fun. Muscle is for playing. You know what I mean? The limited use. So I would go with the 440 if it was a limited use fun car. If it's something I'm going to drive down the road and rely on to start every time I turn the key and give me good gas mileage and be happy and stuff like that, the 318. So that's how I would make my decision. Katie Best is in the house. So glad I live where I do. I don't like the snow at all. Yeah, Katie. Kathy Bananas is on a Florida kick again. She wants to take a ride down there and look at what you got going on. We were just actually talking about that today. Barry Kuda, Tony, when I replace my Valiant's lower controlling bushings, would you recommend urethane? So from what I understand, okay, the urethane bushings are kind of like the green bearings, meaning that they work and they're superior in a lot of ways to the original components, but they have limited life. They have limitations, like green bearings. They don't tolerate any cornering. So if you live in an area where there's a lot of like sharp turns and stuff like that, there's a good chance you kill the green bearings. And the urethane bushings, evidently the same kind of way. If you live in an area that's got a lot of bumps, a lot of potholes, and a lot of reasons for suspension movement, they don't last very long. But I can't. That's how I understand it. I'm not saying that that's the fact. So you may want to research more on that. Sabre belongs. Tony, what do you think about Total Seal rings? Any HP on a small block Chevy 400 worth the money? Total Seal, yes, it's a good name brand. I'm partial to Hastings. I know it's like the least sexy, ring brand in the world. But I've been choosing Hastings rings whenever I have a choice, and especially like with just a simple cast ring. And I've been using them like my whole life. But I've used Total Seal, and there's nothing. I've never heard any bad. I've never had any bad experiences with them, and I've never heard any bad words. The only thing I can tell you is, regardless of whatever brand you buy, make sure you check their actual size. Make sure you put them in the bore before you put them on a piston, and make sure that the gaps are right, because that quality control is starting to get a little crazy. But yeah, Total Seal, I wouldn't hesitate in a second. Mark Sauvé. Okay, I'm the same age as you, Tony. I've never heard of green bearings. Well, back when we were young, they didn't exist. Or at least they weren't used in our builds. Okay, they really started to become popular, like I'm going to say, like in the 1990s. And what it is instead of a tapered bearing that's adjusted, it's a plain roller bearing. It's a sealed plain roller bearing. So there's less rolling resistance because it's a regular rolling bearing, not taper, and there's no adjustments. You just plug them in and forget it. So for going on a straight road, or for drag racing, let's say, they're perfect. They free up a few horsepower, and there's less rolling resistance to them. But the problem with them is cornering. It's a plain bearing. And okay, here, it's like a GM style bearing, where it's the same type of bearing you're going to find in a C-clip axle. But on those applications, the C-clip is what holds the axle. So when you're making turns, okay, it's the C-clip that's holding everything in place. But on an 8 3/4, it's the actual bearing that holds it in place. There's no C-clips. So you don't have anything in reinforcing the bearing for side-to-side movement. So that's why, if you live like an area that's got a lot of like windy roads and stuff like that, I would definitely avoid them, because there's nothing holding this, preventing them from breaking from the side rolling. That said, I don't use any of my hot rods on curvy areas, so I automatically throw them in there because I'm a straight liner, and they work for me. John Q. Public. On the times ago, have you ever seen anyone using compressed air tanks as power aider instead of a turbo blower nitrous? Yes, and I've done a video on that. I did a whole video on compressed air supercharging. Covered Mickey Thompson's deal, Mickey Thompson's funny car. I covered Art Malone's Top Fuel Dragster, and I talked about I think of the car that's out there right now. There's a car running in the Outlaw series. I don't remember which class he's in, but they're running compressed air supercharger, and the engine is actually built by Dan Solis, who occasionally pops up here in our lives. So yes, I actually did a video on compressed air supercharging. Let's see. Mexican Spec, how are you doing down there? I understand the cartels are wild in today, right? How are you doing? You okay? You in good shape there? Let's see. I'm just scrolling up here. Flight is my guy. Flight sim guy. I'm sorry for murdering your name. Everyone on camera, yes. Yeah, okay. Hemi Head's bringing it up too. I hope Mexican Spec is okay with everything going down in Mexico currently. They be wilding. I just saw some of that on TV before I came in here, man. There's cars burning in the street. There's like helicopters taking people away. There's a lot of craziness going on. Shannon, you're living the dream watching UTG live while doing the dishes. Hopefully the wife will appreciate it for an hour, and then she'll forget that you ever did it. They tend not to remember things like that. I don't know why, but they don't. Joker, Tony, to what extent can you chalk up your results on a 5.0 to the car being a factory freak? Is that even a legit claim? Would it be beneficial to repeat the same results on another 5.0 car? My car was definitely not a factory freak, and I duplicated its performance many times at the track with other cars. Okay. First off, one of the big things is I learned how to drive it. So I used to jump in people's cars and knock 2-3 tenths off of their best times. But we also developed a thing called a 10-minute tune-up. And we would do that. We would help our people we met at the track, Neil Van Opry and I, by doing that. We bypassed that water heater. We'd bump the ignition timing up. We'd pull the vacuum line off of the fuel pressure regulator. What else would we do? Unplug the coolant temp sensor. And then I would get in the car and drive it, and it would be within a tenth of what I was running with my car. There were a couple of Storm and Norman Gray. I don't know if you guys remember Storm and Norman Gray, but I drove his car several times and got him going with that. You know what I mean? But no, my car was absolutely not a freak at all. Scrolling back up. John Q. Public, so true. I've never done the dishes in 15 years. If you ask me where I found it. Is Kate here? Where's Kate? Oh, there's Katie. I need an Olive. Katie, Olive, Kate. Why do you girls not remember when we do stuff like that? It's a big deal for us to do things like dishes. G Broadsoff, keeping you Luddite. I have Luddite tendencies. I wasn't always like that. So if you go back to what we're talking about now, the 1980s when I was doing the magazines, I was very pro technology. I wrote a whole thing on the Buick drag test, from Buick with balls. I wrote a whole sidebar, it was a full page sidebar on how technology was the wave of the future and how all of this was the thing, and kids in the future are going to be the way we talk about swapping jets and stuff like that. They're going to be talking about programming their computers and stuff. I was very big, very into it. And then it reached a tipping point. It reached a tipping point in like around like the late 1990s, early 2000s, where it just became too much. It was overkill, and the cars were no longer serviceable in a traditional way. And at that point, I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm going back. I'll be glad to give up the benefits of this technology in order to have the usefulness and the personal relationship, mechanical relationship with my machinery. And so that's when I went back to points and carburetors. Katie is saying, indeed, we do tend to not be appreciative of that skill in men. Why? Why is that? I mean, I respect it. I respect that that's the way it is. You know what I mean? Like I don't go railing against the unfairnesses of nature. You know, it's like they are what they are. Things are what they are. You know, so it's I'm not bitching about it. I'm just curious. Like, why is that? Uh, let's see. I'm scrolling up. Uh, Tony, what was your very first car? I did a video on that too. My very first car was a '66 Charger that I bought and never got out of the junkyard that I bought it from. And then I bought a '67 GTX for $20, and I never did anything with that. I brought it home, and there was nothing I could do with it. It was like way too far gone. It was a stolen recovery and stripped. And then I ended up buying a '69 Charger that was stolen recovery. No motor, no trans, no wires. It was a mess. And I paid. I don't remember what I paid for the car. I paid under $100 for it, but I had to sell the rear end out of it, the center section of the rear, to pay for the tow to get it back to my house. So I was into it for like $20, whatever it was, which was a big deal for a 16-year-old kid in 1978. So yeah, that was my first car, '69 Charger, and I ended up building a 440. I built a couple of them. I put a 400 in it. No, I put a 3D3 together, put it in it, but never drove it because I couldn't afford to put the rest of it together. And then I came across a deal on a 440. So I pulled the 3D3 out and I bought the 440 in pieces and put that together. And then at that point, I had a transmission for it and put it all together. And that was my first running car, my first engine build, my first car build. And I lost my license with that car before I could even get a license. It was a long story, long story. Let's see. G. Prodsoff, when is Crowler sending the Crowler Glide clutch? Damn good question. Damn good question. I don't know. I do not know. I'm scrolling. No one's screwing with our Mexican spec. He's not in the house tonight, and I'm not. It's not that I'm worried about him. I'm sure he's fine, but you know what? There might be communications issues. They may have power down. They may have internet down. He'll pop up. He'll pop up. I mean, I'm sure he's fine. Sabri Belong. Tony, what are your thoughts on diesels and diesel high performance? I'm not a diesel guy. I'm a spark plug guy. And I myself have no interest in building or tuning diesels. It's just not my thing, right? But that's not to say I'm not a fan, because I like watching fast diesels. I like listening to fast diesels. I think they're really cool. And I'm especially fascinated by the ones that they have down in Thailand. Those 4-cylinder turbo diesels that run like 7-second quarter miles in these pickup trucks that they have. While I myself have no desire to get involved in a high performance diesel or any diesel for that matter, that doesn't mean that I don't like them. It just means that my forte is gasoline or not gasoline, spark ignition engines. Um, Cop Car Steve, what's happening? Glad to see you in the house. Oh, driveway of misfits to say Mexican Spec isn't here because his wedding anniversary and they went out for dinner. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I didn't think he was like in the middle of some sort of like, conflict, cartel conflict, but I figured maybe there might be something with communications. Uh, Ego Death. I think Thailand would be fun. Drag racing, drinking, Cobra Blood. The drag racing is the national. We've talked about this before. It's literally the national sport of Thailand. That's their thing. That Thailand runs on drag racing. It's kind of like we were in like 1969, 1970. There was a point when drag racing was number one, America's number one spectator sport. More people attended drag races than any other form of sport in that period of time, 1969, 1970. So that's the way Thailand is today. If I wasn't old, right? If I wasn't, I'm old. I mean, it's that simple, right? If I wasn't as old as I am, I would actually be very interested in moving to a place like Thailand because of the culture that's there. Um, Shannon, how is the Vanimal? I like that going. AK minivan for the doggos. It's actually really really good. Um, I I have decided, like I made a decision a long time ago that I will never not have at least one XJ in my life. Well, now I will never have I will always have at least one Chrysler minivan in my life. It's a really, really good vehicle, you know. Like I mean, really good. So yes, it was an incredibly good purchase. Linda Vaughn, Nikki Phillips. Uh, oh, who was the Hearst girl back in the late '60s? Yes, that was Linda Vaughn. I thought they were talking about which was the best of them. Uh, yeah, Tula. Yeah, minivans are great workhorses. I mean, they seriously, it's so convenient. It's so, please, for what I'm using it for. I mean, I probably wouldn't if it wasn't for the dogs. I probably wouldn't. But now I've got three crates in there, because now the little one needs a crate too. So we've already got her a crate, and you need that kind of space in there. Um, let's see. Sweaty fat guy. That reminds me, I need to build the Astro van I picked up a few years ago. Astro vans are cool. I like Astro vans. Tony Georgie, what are those dogs barking at? They just bark, bro. They just bark. It's just constant barking. If one isn't barking, the next one is barking. They're fighting with each other. They're all girls, and so they're always bickering with each other. They're always resource guarding like there's no tomorrow. Um, I will tell you right now that girl dogs and girl humans are completely interchangeable. They go through exactly the same mood swings. They go through exactly the same cycles, and there's literally no difference between living with human females and canine females. Sweaty fat guy. Dogs bark at evil, even if evil isn't there. Yeah, that's right. They bark at it. Just bark at it. You're, yeah, you're absolutely right. They bark at evil, even if evil isn't there. They bark at it. Um, Dave Bowen, Tony, I'm doing well, my brother. Thank you for asking. Um, is your Chrysler minivan, what year is your Chrysler minivan, and how good is it on gas compared to the horsepower? Is it fast enough to keep up with traffic on the expressway? Jesus, dude. Okay, it's got the 3.7 in it. Okay, very sensitive to temperature. Very sensitive to temperature. When it's warm, right, like in the 60s and the 70s, it'll get 19 to 21 miles to the gallon. And when it's cold in like the 20s, 30s, like that, it drops down to 17. So the tune on it is very, very sensitive to temperature. Okay. Um, Power wise, they run 15-second quarter miles, which I didn't know when I bought the thing, right? But it's a high 15-second quarter mile vehicle. It more than keeps up with traffic. That said, I drive it like I've got an egg between my foot and the gas pedal because I'm petrified of breaking it because I don't want to work on it. I don't want to work on it. So yeah, I drive it like gently. You know what I mean? Like so. But yeah. What year is it? It's a 2014. 2014. Uh, Thank you for the carb space video. Well, thank you for watching it. Um, Bernie Lehman. Do you remember the Pastime TV show? There was a. I went through a period of like 5 years where I rejected television. I didn't want any TV going on. And that show was popular at about that time. Like I didn't own a TV, period, the end. Like I had to break the programming. I had to break the cycle of having a TV. So gone. And that's about the period of time that that show was on and popular. So I know of it and I've seen little clips from it, but I didn't follow it because I just no TV. Um, Charles, Tony, did you meet Charlie Castaldo from New York back in the day? If you did, what did you think of him? I bought some Hemi stuff off of him when I was a teenager, but I don't really remember anything specific about him. Actually, if I remember correctly, because we met over at S&K Speed, and he had a pallet of like heads and stuff like that. So I bought that, but I think the most I did was like just shake his hand and hand him money and shake his hand, and then the guy that was with him helped me load and stuff like that. That's as close as it ever got with him. Um, and then I hauled all of that back from Brooklyn to Staten Island in a 1979 Dodge Colt. And going over the Verrazano Bridge with the suspension completely bottomed out because it was loaded with Hemi parts. Um, SPC in looking into moving to another state. Are you familiar with Kentucky? Slightly. Well, Louisville, Lexington, or Bowling Green area. I'm very familiar with the Bowling Green area, which is exactly 100 miles north of where I am right now. Bowling Green is absolutely beautiful. Um, Really, really beautiful. It's nice. The cost of living is there. It's decent. It's good. The only downside really, in my mind, is weather patterns. So, you know, the jet stream that comes down like through the Dakotas and then it sweeps down to the middle of the country, like where we are, okay, and then it goes back up and exits like in New York. Well, the jet stream generally passes, the bottom edge of the jet stream generally passes between Bowling Green and Nashville, where I am right now. Of course, sometimes it's above that, and sometimes it's below it, but on an average, it 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 there's a weather pattern difference between Nashville and Bowling Green. So the weather is a little harsher there than it is here in Middle Tennessee. Um, Louisville, I'm not familiar with. I mean, I've passed through it, but I don't know anything of it. Lexington, again, I've been there, but it's beautiful. Lexington, the thing I remember about Lexington is like horse country, right? And that's what I remember from Lexington. It was just very beautiful, very high end. It was, at least that was my impression of it. It was like a very high end type of place. And it might have just been where I was. But Bowling Green, I'm very familiar with. Um, Tim Squire, did you watch Jamie's today video today? Brand new Charger with 45 miles on it and a check engine light on. I did not see Jamie's video. I'm doing a video on the Charger tomorrow. Not that I have one to road test or anything like that, but I want to get my impressions on the thing because I've been talking about the electric Charger all along. So Jamie's video is on my list of things to watch. I've watched a lot of content on that car. So yeah, actually tomorrow I'm going to be talking about the Charger. I will watch Jamie's video. I didn't know he ended up with a check engine light. I will watch Jamie's video at the end of when we're done with this live. Um, I'll tell you what I was watching, waiting to go on here, and I'm anxious to go back and finish it. Backyard Barn Finds. I don't know. I don't know if I know I've mentioned that channel before. I've never met him, right? Uh, but Backyard Barn Finds. If you guys know this channel, right? You know his channel, right? He's fantastic. He does a really nice video, and basically he goes to people's places and takes tours of what they have and all big variety of stuff. And he was just doing something with a guy up there in Maple Grove who I can't believe I don't know this guy or never met him. But he's got a bunch of Max Wedge and early Hemi stuff, 64, 65, well, 62 to 65 Hemi and Max Wedge bits. And I started watching it and then I had to stop to come in here, but I'm going to go back and finish that video. That's a channel, Backyard Barn Finds. I highly recommend that channel. I really enjoy that guy's content. Um, Driveway of Misfits. Did you bother to watch the whole video? He's talking about Jamie's video on the Charger. Check engine light was on because of battery issue created by the dealership. That's it. Well, now, wait a second now. Regardless of the cause of it, right, it's still a check engine light on a 45-mile car. But those cars, the electric version of it has massive battery problems, right? So that was one of the things I wanted to bring up in the video. So they changed the drivetrain, okay? But the basic, like the interior bits, the body control module, the body control unit that handles all of the other electronics in the car, is the same minus the monitoring of the charging system. That's been replaced with the monitoring of the engine. But those cars are notorious for all sorts of body electrical issues. And I don't see how that's any different going from the electric to the six banger. Um, let's see, I'm scrolling back up. Uh, G Pro Zop. Do you generally agree that the four-hole carburetor spacer will generally have a stronger intake pulse than open? Yes, at lower RPMs, yes. Um, there's not a whole lot of velocity at low RPM, and if you keep the column as it's coming through the carburetor, as it's coming through each individual barrel of the carburetor, if you keep that column contained for a distance below it, yes, you're obviously going to get a clearer, stronger signal to the booster, no question. But now when the RPM comes up and velocity as a whole comes up, that length of area, let's say from the booster to the plenum, it means less and less. The higher the RPM, the less that area is going to mean. So it's a torque-oriented setup. So yes, I agree with that. Yes, twin stick on that Colt. And yes, I did master banging gears with that, which was fun, right? That was like one of those things that used to keep me busy when I had nothing else going on. I was like, put it in low, right? First gear, pull back the shift to high, right? Then go for second, push the low, push the shifter, second. You had to be really clear. You couldn't power shift it. You could come close. You always had to granny shift it. But yeah, I would run through all of the gears, high and low range on each. And that thing was bulletproof, man. I bought that. I paid, I don't know, like some stupid little amount of money for it. I paid like $800, whatever it was, right? Because it had crazy mileage when I bought it. And I had way over 100,000 miles on it. And I kept it for like a month, right? And then I sold it to at the time, my landlord's kid. And then he drove it for like 2-3 years. And then he ended up giving it to his brother, Anthony, and he drove it for a couple of years. That thing was indestructible. It kept going and going and going. It was one of the most solid cars I've ever encountered. UB's Garage, what's happening, man? Glad to see the carb spacer videos. I need to catch up and watch them. Well, they weren't all about spacers. Just the last one was about spacers. The first one was about fuel state as it enters a combustion chamber. The second one was about managing that through the intake manifold. And then the third video was about the carb spacers. And the phenolic spacers are great as heat soak is very real. Yes, and I forgot to mention, and people corrected me in the comments, I didn't mention anything about wooden spacers because I've never used a wooden spacer, but wooden spacers are a great idea because you can make it yourself to any size you want. I've never used one and I don't have any on hand. So it never even crossed my mind about a wooden spacer. But yeah, absolutely. So add that to the list, right? Wooden spacers. Jason Matthews. I don't use a ballast resistor with Petronics. You're not supposed to. How do I hook it up when I switch back to points? You just need to have a ballast resistor between the positive on the coil and the electrical feed of the car. However you want to do it, doesn't make any difference. If you look at the way the ballast resistor is wired from the factory, you got one wire, the two-pin ballast resistor. You got one wire coming out on one side, and you got two wires coming on the other side. Well, the word it's got two wires is just a junction. It's just a jumper. It's not necessarily part of the ballast resistor system. So you just need a ballast resistor someplace between the positive on the coil and what's feeding it from the rest of the car. Dean Stevenson is saying, beware. If wooden spacers aren't handmade by I have no idea what those emojis mean, Dean Stevenson. Thank you for once again, like, just making me think. I have no idea. circle with like windows in it, and I don't know what that next thing is. And what is that, a hatchet or a flag? I can't tell. They often have whittles leaks. You're awesome, Dean. You really are. Um, Bill McKayska, thank you for the super chat. Do they make 4-hole spacers for spreadboard carbs? Yes. Oh, no. No, not that I know of. Okay, I've never seen one. They might. Could it help with the stereotypical bog of a Q-jet? No. There is a spacer will never help a bog. If anything, a spacer may actually aggravate a bog because there's that much volume that the accelerator pump has to fall. So yes, but it's curing heat soak is absolutely one of their purposes. Let's see. Patrick Neisler. Uncle Tony, did you get my email about Keystone Stewart? I don't look at emails. And Kathy is forbidden from showing me emails. I would love to talk about my company offering kit-built compact pickups. If I don't catch you now, I'm out putting the kids down. Oh yeah. Geez, I don't do endorsements, man. I don't do endorsements. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why I don't look at emails, because the emails are full of, oh, here, test this thing, take this thing. We want to send you this. We want to send you, have a freaking turbocharger. How with this? So it's constant. And as a policy, we don't do endorsements of any product. And there's no money. Like you can offer me $1 trillion, and I don't do endorsements. And that's not saying I don't like what you're offering there. It's just I just don't do it. But thank you for asking, and tell your kids good night from Uncle Tony. Let's see. I'm scrolling up. Yes, sweaty fat guy. He's talking about the bog on a quadjet. The cure for bog is adjusting the secondary opening rate, which is super easy. But that's not saying he's not getting an off idle bog, which is the most common kind of thing. Which is right away where my mind goes. If you say bog, that's what I'm thinking. If he said no, a wide open throttle bog, or full throttle bog, that's different. But you might be right. That might be what he's referring to. I don't know. War Ghost. Hey, Tony, in your eyes, what's the greatest year and model C-body ever? Could be a mix of styling, build quality, performance, for example. I do like the fuselage cars, but they don't have the same feel as the slab side cars. If I was to pick a C-body, and I've had a lot of C-bodies, but if I was to pick one and I wanted to add to the fleet, which I don't, but if I did, right? If I did, it would be a New Yorker, and it would be probably a 67 or 68 New Yorker, with a 440. That would be the car. I think those personify C-body styling and class. They're as close to an Imperial as you're going to get without having the Imperial tax that comes with an Imperial, and all the unique bits and pieces. So I would, that would be my choice. 68 New Yorker. Hearst Chrysler 300. Yes, very cool cars, but I don't know. I like them. They have a lot of issues, especially the delamination of the fiberglass. I've never seen one of those cars with original components that didn't have massive delamination on the fiberglass, and I don't know why that is. It might have just been how they were built. So yeah, nice car, neat car, but I'm not my pick for a C body. Now that 446 pack Sport Fury, the 70 446 pack Sport Fury that Rocket Restos and Jamie did videos on, that's a pretty neat car. But again, see, not my choice for it. Like if I was going to go hunting for a C body and I wanted the C body thing, okay, it would be a New Yorker. Patrick Neisler, $5. Thank you for the super chat. Not looking for endorsement. You wanted us to make Freedom Mobiles, and I appreciate your opinion on if I'm going about it a good way. If you want, oh, okay. Well, that's different, and I would love to give you my opinion about it. Pat, send Kathy. Is she watching this? Kathy Bananas, are you watching this? Send Kathy another email, okay, and just put pickup truck on it. What? Here she is. Kat, come here.
Yes.
Look for an email from this guy Patrick Neisler, and Pat, send her that with a phone number and a good time to text you, okay, and I'll look into it.
Just send it to me now, so I don't have to go through with the book.
Yeah, send it to her right now.
Just have them resend.
Right. What do I tell you about emails?
You only see them.
Right. So that's the thing. It's like unless I know specifically, I'm waiting for a specific email. I don't look at them. I don't look at Facebook messages. I don't look at anything. Right. And I only take text messages from people I actually know. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Sorry, I don't see everything. There's just no way. We don't have a staff, so.
Yeah, the number of emails we get is it's ridiculous, and I won't look at them. So okay, yeah, I thought you were trying to get me to promote it, and yeah, no, but I'd love to talk to you about it, sure. And then Fubar put a link to my merch because while we don't take endorsements of any type, because I value my viewers' time, you clicked on my video, okay, and you had to sit through a freaking commercial. And as you're watching my video, you got to sit through even more freaking commercials. And when my video is done, there's even more commercials. You get bombarded with commercials, but that's how I get paid. But I respect you so much that I refuse to take even a second more of your time by trying to sell something else. So while we don't take endorsements, we do sell merch, and that merch would be our hats and our shirts and stickers. And I'm not even sure. I think we had mugs in there. I don't know if we still. I don't even know what's on. I don't know what's on my own merch page, but you could find out if you follow the link that Fubar, the wonderful Fubar, put up there, and that will take you to where we sell things. If you want to help support my border collie habit, because it's freaking expensive. I mean, the dogs are one thing. I have $1,500 worth of crates I think I got as much invested in crates as I do the van that they drive around in. It's insanity. So yes, if you buy some of my merch, it'll keep me in border collie business. You got to go see the Boss Garage, Drag Boss Garage. Tell Drag Boss Garage I say hello, man. Yes, absolutely. Bernie Lehman, plug wire diameter for a jam points ignition, 7mm. I like 7mm wires for everything. A good high performance 7mm wire is as good as the aftermarket or the original production HEI wires, which were 8mm. So For a points ignition, any points ignition, 7mm. That's all you need. Freddie Bebop, what happened to the Harley cam bushings? The bike is just sitting there. Now, yeah, see, there's very little interest in that bike. You have to remember, this is a business. This is a business. So if I do videos on topics that don't get sufficient views, that there isn't enough interest in, here's what you have to understand about this. Okay, here's what you have to understand about this. It does not hurt my feelings if I put a video out and it doesn't get any views, right? I'm fine with that. Of course, it's nice when you put out a video and it gets 40,000, 100,000, 300,000, a million views, right? We've had that. And then we put out videos that get 12,000 views, 14,000 views. And it doesn't hurt my feelings even the slightest bit. And I don't even mind not making enough money off of that video to justify the production of the video, right? No problem. The problem is those low view videos affect the algorithm, okay? So what happens is if I put out too many videos that don't get at least 20,000 views or thereabouts in the first 24 hours, I get punished by YouTube, okay? And what happens is it drops my overall CPM. My CPM is cost per million. That's the rate that YouTube charges advertisers to be on our videos. It affects the reach, how far YouTube will put our videos out. So what happens is if I put out videos on topics that don't get enough views on the initial hit, the first day, the first 24 hours is very important. Or actually, the first hour is the most important as far as the algorithm is concerned, but they pay attention to the first 24 hours. So what happens is if I put out too many of those, I get punished and it hurts all of our videos. And I've had this happen too many freaking times where I'll put out a video where I know the topic, like a boomer chair video, for example, where I know it's got a wide audience, much wider than a specified tech video, okay? And it'll get flatlined, it won't get any views because I put out 2 or 3 videos previously that didn't hit that threshold that the algorithm looks for. So when it comes to things like working on that bike, doing the bushings and stuff like that on the bike, there isn't enough interest in it for me. Like I have to put out 3, 4, 5 videos in a row that are getting 30, 40, 50,000 views before I can put out one that's only going to get 12,000 views or 15,000 views, or I get smacked. And every time I put out a video that falls short, like the clutch video, the top fuel video that we put out, that's like one strike, like strike one. Now, if I put out another one tomorrow that doesn't, you know what I mean? That's strike 2. And then strike 3, it cost me thousands of dollars. It literally cost me thousands of dollars. And it's not because those videos didn't make any money, but because YouTube stopped showing my previous videos. They stopped sharing, because you realize that's how we make money with this. It's not the video that I do today. It's the 1,500 videos that are already out there that YouTube shares and cycles out. Well, when I get a few low-performing videos in a row, it stops sharing those videos. It's like, and then Tony's broke. So that's why we haven't done anything with that bike with the cam bushings, because it's a very low interest topic. And I'll return to it after we have several good videos. Does that make any sense? This is the business of YouTube. This is the game that we have to play. And when you're a small channel like this, it's just the way it is. Thunderbird, Tony, I think that's because the majority of your subscriber base is more into cars and motorcycles. Yes, I agree. And I want to build the motorcycle, the motorcycle content. I mean, I'd like the video, I like the channel to be like 25% motorcycle, but it's not possible right now. I love motorcycle. I've more fun with motorcycles than I do anything else. So yeah. Let's see. Scoop is saying YouTube messed with another channel I watched, so I watched the show 9 times, and all the others said they also did. Oh, you mean you clicked on it? I'm sure. I'm sure you appreciated it. Robert Trio, Tony, do you usually change jetting with a spacer swap? Go richer with an open and leaner for a 4-hole? No, I don't really see a correlation in that. So um, the okay, there could be a small difference, but I don't tune to that nth degree. I'm not in competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if I was racing the car, if I was an active racer, then yeah, I would probably look deeply into that. But from the perspective where I'm just playing, I'm not in competition. I don't make a living from racing. I don't I don't care enough. You know what I mean? So I don't bother. Uh, does that make any sense? Uh, Olive is saying, I like to see something about motorcycles because I don't know much. Probably a little sense getting in the weeds about it on my part, though. Why? I mean, scooters are cool. Anything on 2 wheels is cool. Um, Jared, YouTube sucks then. I love your motorcycle content, but that all makes, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, I have so many motorcycle videos I want to do that I think would be pretty good, but I got to be careful. You got to walk that line. You got to keep the algorithm happy, you know. And I'm not bitching about the algorithm. A lot of people do that, right? They get on there like, oh, the algorithm screwed me this way and screwed me that way. The algorithm doesn't screw anybody. The algorithm is what it is, and you have to work with the algorithm. The algorithm is the boss. It's artificial intelligence. It calls the shots. It's the one that decides who gets served what videos, and it does it based on fair parameters. It's that simple, you know. So you don't resent the algorithm. Respect the algorithm and work with the algorithm, and then you'll have success. And that's how I do it. That's how I'm able to do this all these years as full-time YouTube, because I don't fight the algorithm. I respect the algorithm. Okay, you're the boss. Now tell me what you want. You know what I mean? Now, sometimes you have to guess what it wants, but that's the same with any boss, really, right? So it is what it is. It is what it is. But I would slowly like to I would slowly like to gear the channel so I've got about 25% or thereabouts motorcycle content. Because I love motorcycles. I don't know what I can tell you, you know. Like I only keep Sportsters, but I love all motorcycles. So I would love to do a channel where I did reviews and walk arounds and stuff on other people's bikes and tech and stuff like that. And of course Sportster stuff because I'm a Sportster freak. But it is what it is. Um, Fun with Cars is saying I would have to start another channel for motorcycle content. I've attempted it. We've gone as far as create the channel and the name and the logo and all the other stuff. And the problem is doing the content for this channel takes up all my headspace, right? It takes up all my freaking headspace. So by the time I'm done with it, and I do get on a motorcycle, the last thing in the world I want to think about is making more content. I can't. I'm burned out. I've been burned out for years. I just keep pedaling. You know what I'm saying? I've been burned out for years. Uh, Betty Corfano, what was your best and worst video? The best we've ever done is got like 5.8 million views now. It was a tag job video. We did it early on. We did it in 20. I think it was spring of 2019, and that video went viral, and not super viral, but viral, and that's got like 5.8 million views. The worst video, well, you would have to go back to the earliest. The worst video in recent history, the worst video I've had in the last 7 years, let's say, was the dog racing video. I shot a video on doggy drag racing because we ran our dogs at a fast cat event, which is like a 300-foot, 100-yard dash for dogs, timed, right? And my Molly Jane, my youngest one, is the 41st fastest border collie in the entire AKC. So out of like 475 dogs, she's like number 41. So and that was her first event. So proud papa, right? So that's our worst. I think that's only got like 8,000 views. Let's see. Oh, the burnout chicken video should have been better though. Oh, you know, like my personal favorites? The chicken burnout was good. I think my personal favorite was the quit smoking. Two of them, like Uncle Tony quits smoking, which we did before we were really established. So before we were established, we had a lot of fun. We was throwing shit at the wall to see what was going to stick. So that was one of my favorites. How to do a bitch and burnout was one of my favorites. Uncle Tony's 101st video extravaganza was another one. Like my personal favorite videos. Those are the ones that I remember the most, and they're really old. We did those years and years ago. Sabri Belong, what can viewers do to support creators? The algorithm and monetization of creators. Interact, hit the like or the dislike. The algorithm doesn't care if you like it or you hate it. They only care that you watched it, because the only thing the algorithm is concerned with is selling ad space. That's it. So they don't care if you like it or you hate it. Thumbs up or thumbs down, some sort of reaction. It helps if you share a video. It helps a lot. I don't think anything helps more than when you share a video. It lights up the algorithm. Like for instance, I have this happen a lot. It's actually happened a lot in the last few days, really. I've had videos shared that are old videos that we did 5, 6, 7 years ago. And all of a sudden, boom. So what'll happen is, okay, so typically the way it works is you put out a video, and by the end of 48 hours or so, thereabouts, it tapers off, okay? So you launch the video, it goes straight up like this, and then it goes like this, and then it tapers off after about 48 hours. And then it just cruises for years, and it'll slowly pick up views. It'll pick up like 12 views a day, 18 views a day, right? 19 views a day, like that, okay? And it'll do it every day consistently. And that's good because, okay, so I'm making 3 cents here and 8 cents there, whatever it is. It doesn't make any difference. But then what happens is somebody comes along and shares that video onto like Facebook or Reddit or whatever it is. And it'll pick up like 100 views really quick. Well, at that point, the algorithm says, oh, there's interest in this video. And so it revives it and it starts spreading it around. And all of a sudden, this video that's been dormant for, getting a couple of views a day, dormant for like 5 years, all of a sudden it gets 1,000 views, 1,500 views, 2,000 views. And for us, that's like that's like Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Because, oh, this dead and buried, right? We forgot about this. We forgot we even did this damn video. And then here it is and it's getting thousands of views a day. So yes, I think the most effective thing that people who want to support a content creator can do is share a video into the general public the way it might be interesting. Not just randomly share, but if there's a video about I don't know, long ram Chryslers, okay, and you share it into a group of early Chrysler enthusiasts, 1960s Chrysler enthusiasts, that helps. But I never ask for that. I don't. I never ask for likes. I never ask for subs or shares or anything like that. It's got to be organic, man. That's the way I look at it. Either people love what you do or they don't. They respond to what they do or what you do, or they don't. So I never ask for any of that stuff. Let's see. No, my favorite video is when we revealed the 66 Charger, one man's trash. Yeah, that was good. That's when I'm filling up the tank, and it was leaking from the Fill-N-X seal. It was like 3 gallons of gas on the floor. Let's see. Bernie Lehman, do you have any experience with jet boats? Yeah, one experience with a jet boat, and that was the only experience I need to ever have. Thunderbird, you like the one where it was cruising Nashville in the Charger? Yeah, I like that one too. I forgot about that one, but yeah, that was a cool one. That Lucas that to be honest, Tony, I like the Crocker Barrel Boomer Chair videos. The conspiracy theory future projections are interesting to listen to. I even agree with some of the stuff. So here's the thing, right? I want to stay in the realm of automotive YouTube. Okay, part of me says forget the automotive stuff and just go in that direction. And I have a lot of ideas in that direction. But I have my roots here. I have my YouTube community here, and I want to stick to it. And I want to keep those Boomer Chair videos kind of related, isolated to just things that directly affect car people. But I'll tell you right now, those Boomer Chair videos get the best views. They get the highest CPMs. They get the most shares. They're really good. They do really well for us. And we got a bit of one coming tomorrow. It's not quite a Boomer Chair video, but tomorrow we're going to be talking about the new Charger. I'm just scrolling up. Big Little Man, cross-platform sharing definitely helps get exposed to other groups. Yep. You said it, cross-platform. That's what YouTube wants to see. They want to see videos shared on Facebook and Reddit and E-Bombs World. They want to see videos shared outside of YouTube, and that helps a lot. Dave Bowen. Hey Tony, how can I find out how rare my truck is? And thank you. Well, I mean, that's a good question. If I was to pick up a vehicle and I'm not sure how rare it is. I'm going to go find a forum having to do with that truck or with that generation of truck. I have no idea what you're dealing with there, but whatever it is, it's going to have a generation. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a square body, or it's going to be a old body style, or it's going to be side whatever. Right? So I would go find forums and clubs having to do with that, and then just do your research from there. I wouldn't bother looking at things like who are the ones that do the values. I can't think of the name. Like Haggerty does it and stuff like that. The real value you're going to find from the people who actually live with these things, not some outside entity. Torino Elite, first time out on the street at night with Bottle Rocket was your favorite. Thank you. Mark Sauvé, have you seen what Clay Millican and Schumacher are doing this season? No, I didn't pay no attention. Completely swap engines for next round. No, maybe all comes out and refresh for its next turn. That's not new. I mean, John Carey's diesel. He was doing that in the 1990, early 1990s, like maybe 1991, 1992. There were a couple of people who were doing that. But Carey's setup, I remember because, it was just amazing. Like his shop was, his trailer opened from the side. Everybody else opens from the back. His opened from the side, and it became a full shop. And he ran 2 top fuel cars out of there, and that's what they did every run. Right, as soon as the car comes back, unplug the bullet, throw another one in, and send it. So yeah, it's not a new idea, but it's a good idea. If you can afford it, it's the good idea. But as far as like what they do, I'm not taking anything away from Clay Millican or Schumacher or any of the contemporary racers, but I'm being completely honest with you. I couldn't be more honest. If they were running a current national event on the street in front of my house, I probably wouldn't bother watching it. I have zero interest. I would rather go watch the hibachi chef at the Japanese restaurant do his thing than watch modern top fuel cars or funny cars run. I have less than no interest in it. And it's not that not that I take anything away from these guys. I get what they do. I appreciate it. I lived in that world, but I have no interest. No interest. KBB, yeah, Kelly Blue Book, right. Okay, that's one of the ones I was thinking of. Thank you. 72Z28 only goes back so far. Once it's old enough to be antique, you have to look elsewhere. Yeah, and that's when they get to like Haggerty's and whatnot. And I think they're more talking about like insurance replacement value than they are desirability. Let's see. Bob's Chop Shop. What do you think is going to be the next YouTube? It's kind of funny to me that there is no alternative like Netflix has a bunch of other competition. I don't see a replacement coming for YouTube. YouTube was a long time in evolving, right? But the formula, it can't be beat. It's like in some ways, I wish there was viable alternatives. For a while, people like Rumble, and there was Telegraph, and there was all different things that were popping up, and it was like, okay, well, maybe we'll do something there, maybe we'll do something there, but none of it ever catches on because YouTube, the guys that run YouTube, the people that run the lizards, I don't even know what they are. Okay, the beings that run YouTube nailed it. They just nailed it, right? Uh, and I don't see anything taking its place, at least for the foreseeable future. Like if you look at YouTube now, like if you want to really think about it, YouTube is like General Motors in the 1950s. Okay, unstoppable. They nailed it. Okay, there were alternatives, but the alternatives weren't nearly as strong. And General Motors became the biggest corporation in the world. And it took several decades of running on that reputation to finally kill it. You know what I'm saying? So I think YouTube right now is kind of like where General Motors was in the 50s, maybe the early 60s. It has quite a ways to go before something is viable to take its place. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but how do you top it? I mean, really, if I was to hand you a clean slate and say, here, beat YouTube, put all your ideas down that are going to beat YouTube, what are you going to come up with? What can you come up with? YouTube has taken the place of TV. There's no broadcast. I mean, I guess there is, but there's no network TV anymore. It's YouTube. Everything is freaking YouTube. The whole world went to YouTube. What I think sucks about YouTube is I'm a huge fan of the LA Beast, right? I watch at least one of his videos every night. Okay, he's old school. He's what YouTube was when I first became aware of YouTube. I remember binge watching YouTube videos like there was Tourette's guy. There was I used to love Tourette's guy. I walked out for a couple of years just with Tourette's guy all over the house, right? There were so many. There were so many good animated one. It was Charlie the Unicorn, and there was all kinds of crazy shit. YouTube was really really interesting, and it was individual, and it was like amateur, and that made it a lot of fun. You could relate to the people that you saw. And what I don't like now is that people on YouTube, even, in our space, right, automotive space, they're trying to make it like a TV show. It's like, oh, here's the intro, roll the credits, right? They're like, no, that's just no, right? It's full of no. Don't do that. You don't need theme music, okay? You just turn the camera on and start talking, okay? So that's the one thing I don't like about YouTube. It's like people trying to be too professional. I think that takes a lot of the personality out. But that's what comes with mass thing. You know what I mean? YouTube lost a lot of personality as it matured. Yubi's Garage. I've thought about putting all my content on Rumble, kind of a possible running start and a new startup. YouTube has been taking away subs for over a month as I am 7 away from reaching 3,000. Oh, guys, go over there. Help Yubi out. He needs 7 subs. Go, guys. Go sub to his channel now. I'll wait for you. I looked at Rumble. I looked at Rumble. I would come back and forth looking at Rumble, and I never see any potential. If you're doing political stuff, and I don't do political stuff, I get accused of it all the time, right? But I don't do political stuff. Both sides are evil. Both sides are evil. I don't care who's. That's it. It's that simple. So I don't get political. But that's for Rumble. If you're going to do politics, you're going to do economics, you're going to do social commentary, that sort of thing. Yeah, Rumble's good. But to do automotive content, it's not an automotive audience. It doesn't pay enough. It doesn't pay enough. Mark, so hey, you remember Charlie the Unicorn, right? Yeah, that's why I really like the LA Beast, because he's from that era and he never changed. You know what I mean? He never changed. The guy's been doing YouTube for like 15 years now, right? And he's never changed. Well, he's matured. You can tell, you can see where he's mellowed out, right? You watch some of his earlier videos, like when he was a younger guy, like in his 20s, and he was insane. You see the look in his eye. He was gone, okay? But he's matured and mellowed as he got older. But he never stopped doing his thing. He never stopped. He never changed the format. He never tried to make it more professional looking or anything like that. And I have so much respect for somebody like that. Yubi's Garage. Oh man, that wasn't a soft story. I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't. Oh, X is another one. Yeah, I didn't even think of X, right? A lot of channels have gone to X. Yeah, it's not for us. And for the car people doing car content, it's not for us. I have a super chat. Mark says I got a super chat. I'm scrolling up. Oh man, oh, there it is. Oh, geez, Lawrence Teft. I'm sorry I missed your super chat. I usually catch them unless I'm babbling about something, and then thank you for the super chat. UT, I have set my initial timing on my stock 440, going by the highest RPM and the highest vacuum. Distributed vacuum advanced disconnect. It appears to run best at 20 degrees before top dead center. Does this sound right? Seems a lot of manuals says 5 before. All right, so 5 before is very conservative. 20 is very aggressive. At about 15, okay, so if you've got a stock distributor, okay, at about 15, 12 to 15, you're going to get the best, the best overall balance of it. So here's what's going to happen. With 20 degrees at top dead, yes, you're going to get the best throttle response. You're going to have the best low RPM performance. But when all of the advance is in, you're tacking another 20 degrees on top of that. So you're looking at 40 degrees before top dead center. All right. Now, that's it's going to make the engine prone to pinging pre-ignition. It's like it's beyond what the motor wants from optimum power. Optimum power, you're going to want 35 degrees, give or take. Okay, but then what's going to happen is if you plug in your vacuum advance is going to pack on another, depending on the year, right, another 12 to 15 degrees. And then what happens is as you cruise down the road, it's going to be bucking and stumbling and holding back unless you hit the gas. If you hit the gas, it'll smooth out. And if you just cruise, it'll be surging, okay? So if you're going to run a stock distributor with the stock vacuum advance, call it 12 degrees to be safe, okay? I would say 12 degrees before top dead center with the vacuum advance disconnected, which if you've got the vacuum advance hooked up correctly, it's not getting a signal at idle, right? You're plugging into ported vacuum, not manifold vacuum. It's a Chrysler, not a GM car. Okay, so it's going to be ported vacuum. It's not going to matter whether or not it's plugged in or not. It's only going to come into effect when the throttle is open. So 12 to 15 degrees before top dead center max if you're running full mechanical advance and a vacuum advance on top of that. I hope that answered your question. I hope I made that clear. And I'm sorry I missed your super chat. I just, sometimes that happens. Let's see. Danny Boy, 20 degrees might eat starter motors? No, not 20. Yubi, did you get your subs? Saber belong. Tony, what's the funniest fan spotting you've had as a creator? I was online. Only they didn't spot me. I spotted them. And I hid like a little bitch. I was online to get into some event. I forget what it was. Maybe it was a power tour thing, or I don't remember. I was online waiting to pay to get in, and there were two guys like two ahead of us that were wearing my shirts, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta get out of here!" I'm so bad like that. You have no idea. So yeah, I kind of freaked out. Um, so I would say, yeah, that was probably my funniest fan spotting. Um, Frederick, both good timing advice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm kind of known for that sort of thing. 29.98. Oh, come on. You cheap bastards. Go over there and give UB three more likes. We got to get them over the top, right? You know, three more. Get them to 3,001. Go now. Um, let's see. Zero. Zero's in the house, and now we can all relax. Right? It's always a little edgy, okay, until zero's here, and then the karmic balance falls into alignment, and it's all good now. Um, let's see. Danny Boyd, Tony, you could authorize UTG impersonators and look a little like you. I could be appearing at the Carl Casper's custom car show signing autographs. No, man, I'm good. I'm good. Mexican spec, of course I noticed you. We were talking about you earlier in the feed. Some people were speculating that you got involved in this cartel nonsense. And I was like, no, he's just that maybe they have power outages or communication issues. But then they said that you were out with your woman in celebrating anniversary. So, congratulations on that, and you're welcome back, brother. Uh, let's see. Cop car, Steve, what do you think was the best Mopar cop car? Uh, you mean like from a passenger perspective? Because getting like okay, the B bodies that they were using in New York in the late '70s into the very early '80s, they were still using B bodies in St. Regis's, and there was plenty of room there. Like because when they cuff you, it's behind your back, so you need that little bit of extra lean forward room. You know what I'm saying to be comfortable. But when they switched over to the diplomats, that was rough because now you're cuffed and you have no knee room. You know what I'm saying? So it made the ride not very pleasant. So I'm going to say I definitely preferred getting arrested before the diplomats. Yumi's Garage at 3001. Go with you, brother. Um, Jason still needs an answer. Let me scroll back up. Jason, I'm looking for Jason. I don't see it. Oh, Jason Matthews. Okay. The 440 has six-sided distributor cam under Petronics. Needs eight-sided cam for points. Who had one? Oh, somebody used a slant six. Okay, so you've got a distributor that somebody pieced together out of different bits and pieces. So somebody added a slant six upper to your 440 base. And I don't know why they would do that, but yeah, you need an 8-sided cam. I don't know who you'd be able to buy that from, but yeah, you've got a hodgepodge distributor there. Somebody mixed and matched bits and pieces. The slant 6 440 hybrid. Dino Tune Motorsports. I enjoy all the nitro content you share. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. There's some interest in it. There's not a lot of interest in it, which is kind of that from a business YouTube business algorithm pleasing perspective. It's a problem. Okay, but a lot of people are following it and enjoying it, and I appreciate you recognizing it. Lucas, that any stories I'm meeting any YouTube personalities or any other more well-known automotive people? When I did magazines back in the 80s and the 90s, because I was in and out of the magazine business a few times back then, I was fairly well socialized among the other people in the industry. I was always a bit of an outsider, you know what I mean? But I was fairly well networked, and now I'm not. I generally avoid most YouTubers. I can explain to you. It's I have nothing against other YouTubers. I don't really identify with them, if that makes any sense. Jeff from Two Hats Garage, I met him and we had a great conversation. Dylan McCool, I've met him a couple of times because he's in my neck of the woods, and we've come across each other at different swap meets and stuff like that. Mostly I avoid other YouTubers. It's just like I tend to try to avoid Italians. I'm an Italian, right? Because I'm an Italian, I try to avoid other Italians. So it's the same basic thing with YouTubers. I'm a YouTuber, so I kind of avoid other YouTubers. Um, Shannon, from a mechanic standpoint, learning about the early nitro clutch setup was very interesting, different from what I work on every day. It's a neat clutch. It's the thing about the nitro clutch, or the clutch in a nitro car, is it is the car. Everything works around the clutch. If the clutch drives the fuel pump, period. And if the relationship between the clutch and the fuel pump isn't right, the motor is just toast in between. And then the clutch dictates how the car leaves. It dictates everything. How it hits the tire, how it works the suspension, the frame of the car. There's no suspension, but how it sets the frame. All of those things have to do with the clutch. Everything is the clutch. So it's a neat piece, and people don't give it enough credit for what it does. SPC in. Do you still talk to DD Speech? Not in a few years. Not in a few years. Oh, I know. So you talk about, somebody asked me about meeting other YouTubers. The funniest story. I come home one day, right? I come home from the shop one day, and Kathy is in the driveway with one of my cars with the hood open, and a guy's standing there. I don't know this guy, and she says, "Oh, this is our neighbor, so and so, right?" And I was like, "So what happened?" So he says, "Well, she was cranking it, but it doesn't want to start, and we're getting into all of this." And I don't know who this is. I have no idea who this is. It was Peg, Zip Ties and Bias Plies. He was in the area in Nashville, and he showed up at my house, and I had no idea who he was. I had no idea I was talking to him. And then finally, so yeah, that was great. That was I don't know how that slipped my mind just now, but that was great. Um, let's see. Chevy Hemi, clutch and driver do have to be one with each other to perform for sure. No, the driver has nothing to do with it. In a nitro car, the driver is quite literally a piece of meat. The driver just puts its weight on the throttle pedal and then steers reflexively for a few seconds and pops the clutch. That's what the driver does. There's absolutely no input as far as the car's performance goes that comes from the driver. It's all in the tune-up. Um, yeah, put her in the cat. Yeah, put her in the catch of Kathy. You guys remember so much. Scott from Coldwater. Well, I've never met him. I mean, we've talked on, but we've never actually met. I'm only counting people that have actually met in person. Um, let's see. Um, oh, Lawrence. Okay, so did that make sense to you? You're talking about the Lawrence. You were the one with the ignition timing. So what I recommended makes sense to you. Okay. Um, complete knuckle dragger. A farmer I know a farmer I know has two nitro cars, the giant solid block motors with the big blowers and stuff. I don't know too much about it, honestly. A couple of years back, his daughter killed my friend. Oh, that's terrible. Miss him a lot. His daughter killed my friend. Farmer with two nitro cars. Um, Brent Fanning? I knew Brent back in the day. He was a really cool guy. Uh, he, he he got blacklisted from the NHR. He was very cool. Him and his wife, they were great. Um, but he got blacklisted by the NHRA. Indy, okay. We used to match race a lot, right? So we raced Brent, the utter nonsense car. We raced him quite often, match racing, right? So he qualified at Indy, like the U.S. Nationals, and he packed cow shit into the parachute. You can't make this stuff up. He took cow shit and packed it into the chute. Okay, the car's got two chutes, so one of them is filled with cow shit. And when he left the starting line, the chute that was filled with cow shit emptied out on the starting line. He was like disqualified, blacklisted. He was a great guy though. He was he was a real innovator. He was a real thinker. So the fuel pump is so important on a nitro car, right? And he was people. Now you got to keep this in mind now, right? When you're especially in that era, I have no idea what it is today, right? But going back to that era that I was involved, fuel pumps were constantly being improved. They were constantly being refined. There was always a new setup. They were always being sent back to service. So we were running 2 fuel pumps on those cars at that time, and you always had to have at least 4 and sometimes 6 because you'd have the 2 that were on the car, and then you would have the 2 that you would send out to be serviced. So as soon as you got those back, you put the fresh service ones on the car, and you took the ones that it was constant. You were always shipping and receiving fuel pumps. It was crazy, okay? And he decided he wanted out of that whole fuel pump thing. So he took a washing machine water pump, took a washing machine water pump and rigged up a Gilmer belt drive for this thing. And he was running that washing machine water pump on his blown nitro car and running representative times. You know, he wasn't ahead of the pack or anything like that, but he would qualify for national events. He ran countless match races with that thing, and it never really hurt itself. Always made clean passes, and he was doing it with a washing machine water pump. So you know, you got to be, you know, you got to think out of the box when you're running, you know, on a budget. Um, I'm just scrolling back up here. Okay, I don't think I missed much here. Mopar Maniac, would TBI work well with long tube cross ram intake manifold? Yeah, I don't see any reason why. Yeah, it would be compatible. It would be much better, much more effective with port injection. So if somebody was to weld a series of bungs into those manifolds and run an EFI, a port injected EFI, those things would be special. I mean special, but nobody's done it. But yeah, you could run a couple of throttle bodies on it. You could actually probably take the whole setup that they put on the Corvettes. What Corvette was up? The crossfire injection. You could probably just take the whole crossfire injection setup off of a Corvette, mount the throttle bodies and everything and the electronics to that long ram setup, and it would probably function just fine. Thunderbird, Tony, with the copper speculative market, will it support a mild crack habit? I don't know what crack goes for these days. I know that back when crack was the thing, it was like $5 a rock. They sell them in rocks. But I mean I never did any crack, you know. But I remember it was a very popular deal. I don't know, man. I don't know. What time is it? Oh wow, we're coming up on 2 hours, and I am actually going to pull the plug, guys. Because I've been sitting here too long and talking for too long. So this was a fun night. Just for the record, I love hanging out with you guys. I look forward to these Sunday night things. Thank you for being here. But especially thanking our mods, right? Fubar, who was here from the very beginning, and then all the way through. Thank you, Fubar. Zero popped in, Mexican Spec popped in, and Mexican Spec is in good shape, even though they're wilding down there in Mexico. He's all good. He's all good. So, and I think he does a live. I think he's going to do a live after tonight's show. He does a live on his channel. So Mexican Spec, and also Jamie, Dead Dodge Garage. He also does a live that overlaps ours. So he's probably on right now. And Zero, who came late but fulfilled his mission, is what I'm saying. Okay. So guys, thank you so much. Everybody who contributed with Super Chat, thank you. It's never expected, but always appreciated. everybody who contributed with your presence and your conversation. I am eternally in your debt. Thank you for clicking on my shit and watching it and providing me this opportunity. Thank you. Right? I can't say it enough. So on that note, I am going to call it a night, and I'll see you guys Wednesday night with Dr. Art. So that's it, guys. Good night, all.